In 2011, a Tibetan girl accidentally wandered into Japanese director Ryo Takeuchi's camera frame. She had no idea that this chance encounter would completely transform her life's trajectory. The decade-long friendship between her, this Japanese director, and actor Dongdong has touched countless hearts around the world. It proves that pure and beautiful emotions still exist in our world today. This girl's name is Cimu. We have previously shared the touching story of Cimu and their friendship in our earlier videos. 10 years flew by in the blink of an eye. While filming a new documentary, director Ryo Takeuchi returned to Shangri-La without giving any advance notice. Using his memories from a decade ago, he found the village where Cimu lived. 10 years had passed, and the innocent young girl who once held a little lamb had transformed into a hotel owner. Both moved by their reunion, they also called Cimu's most cherished friend, brother Dongdong. Cimu broke down in tears, her eyes filled with both hope and hesitation. Nothing could return to the way it was before, but brother Dongdong still held a special place in her heart. So they made a promise to reunite once again in Shangri-La.
激动了。
能想到的人，大家都可以想到，但是实际上能做到的人很少的，我觉得很厉害，佩服佩服。哦，好想去哦。厉害。
对，以后我们肯定有机会见到。
In 2024, Dongdong took the high-speed train back to Shangri-La. Could this emotional journey that had brought countless viewers to tears finally reach a perfect ending? It had been 13 years since his last visit to Shangri-La, and the place had undergone dramatic changes, completely transformed and renewed. Dongdong felt anxious and uncertain, worried about how much his old friend might have changed. He first went to the place where they initially met, the Gate of Heaven. The moment he stepped inside, more than a decade of memories instantly flooded back before his eyes. It was an unintentional turn that caught sight of Cimu holding a little lamb with shy sweetness. That beautiful, pure face without makeup left Dongdong with an unforgettable impression.
一片哎，现在没有抱小羊的女孩。
The winds of Yila grassland in April were still strong, and the story of Cimu and Dongdong had brought many tourists to Napahai Lake. Here, he unexpectedly ran into an old acquaintance. The person before him was Chamu's aunt, the wife of that cheerful uncle. She immediately pulled out a group photo from more than 10 years ago. Time had left traces of weathering on her face, which gave Dongdong a strange sense of warmth and familiarity. More than 10 years ago, there was basically no internet signal here. With the rise of the short video era, more people discovered Cimu's story through documentaries and learned about this beautiful place called Shangri-La. People flocked to this sacred and beautiful destination in their hearts to find inner peace. The locals recognized Dongdong immediately. Tremendous changes had taken place here. What used to be muddy dirt roads had now been paved with smooth pavement. Following the road signs, Dongdong arrived at Cimu's home, a place he had visited before. Times had changed, and this place had transformed into an impressive hotel. The moment he stepped through the front door, he was stunned by the luxurious and magnificent interior design. He could hardly believe that this was actually the hotel run single-handedly by that once innocent girl who used to hold a little lamb. After entering the inner rooms, although extensive renovations had been done, the furnishings instantly brought back memories for Dongdong. The scene of dining here during his first visit to Cimu's home was vivid in his mind. Upon meeting, Cimu excitedly embraced Dongdong. This was their first reunion after 13 whole years since the filming.
哇，你们不是说下午才到吗？
好久不见，
认不出来哎！哇，
没见，
哇，
好久不见，
哇，好久不见，你变了好多。
真的吗？
真的变了很多。
好多，变老了，
没有，
都10多年了。
感觉怎么讲呢？就感觉有点认不出你来了。
真的啊？
对，哇。
The moment their eyes met, memories from the past came flooding back like a tide. The naive young girl who once followed him to Shanghai had now become a capable hotel owner. Cimu kept saying how much Dongdong had changed, while Dongdong insisted that Cimu had not changed at all. Perhaps it was because in Cimu's heart, the Dongdong of the past was her ideal love, but now she was a mother of 2 children. The scenes from years past could never be recreated, but those beautiful memories would forever remain treasured in their hearts.
那种感觉，没看出你是你真的没看出，怎么讲呢？你感觉，就好像变了个人一样。
变了个人，
对，真的。
变什么样了？
我不是说你老了，就是反正不一样。对，然后上次导演他们过来的时候也没有跟我说要过来怎么样，但是我跟可可有联系，但是他也没跟我说，对，像今天一样，对，我现在以后可能不太会信任你，对，知道，因为。
Cimu had carefully treasured all the beautiful memories from before, creating a photo wall featuring pictures of both Dongdong and the director. While serving as commemoration, it also provided a perfect spot for tourists to take photos. Cimu had thoughtfully preserved every detail from the filming more than 10 years ago. For her, these were not just beautiful memories, but also represented her youth that could never return. Dongdong looked at the hotel rooms with deep emotion. 2 years ago, he had seen the hotel through a video call, but witnessing it in person still filled him with surprise and touching feelings. After the tour, Cimu taught Dongdong how to make yak butter tea together. Cimu mentioned that after the director's documentary about the Yangtze River was broadcast, several more guest houses gradually opened in the village, and she was happy that her hometown could develop and prosper. Many guests came specifically to Cimu's hotel after watching the documentary, and once they arrived, they did not want to leave and would stay for several extra nights. Interestingly, some guests did not know that Cimu's hotel was in Shangri-La and ended up going to Lhasa instead. These guests would call Cimu asking, "I have arrived in Lhasa. Where is your hotel?" The guest house did not have many staff members, so all the guests' dinners were personally prepared by Cimu and her family.
如果没有我在这个民宿，感觉我民宿是一直就不会有生意。但我不希望是因为我才有这个民宿有生意，我希望我的民宿因为是我的民宿我才有生意。我主要是以这个为主，我就是想把我的民宿做得更好嘛，是因为我民宿而来，也就对。
The two decided to return to the place where they first met. Cimu put on that traditional Tibetan dress again, especially for Dongdong. Upon arriving at the entrance, the first person they encountered was Cimu's uncle. Back then, for that trip to Shanghai, Dongdong had earnestly tried to persuade him with great effort. Due to their unfamiliarity at the time, the uncle had refused. Now the two of them were like old friends who had not seen each other for many years. They also met Cimu's father. The uncle now managed the village's horse ranch, and from here one could ride horses to the gate of heaven to experience the beautiful grassland scenery. Cimu personally led the horse for Dongdong while sharing her experiences from these years.
不走了，
他
不高兴了。
你可以从后面赶一下吗？因为这样子的啊，他因为之所以在这里停留的意思是，从这边过去的话是稻草原，就离他很近。然后这边是要去天空之门，每一匹马到了这里都会犹豫的。但是这边是远，这边是近，他知道，所以这个地方到的时候，每一匹马都会这样子犹豫。比如说我这边拉，他轻轻松松就走了。我这边拉，他死不来，对，就这样子。他硬是不走，没有人赶的话。
The moment they crossed through the gate of heaven, it felt as if their encounter from 10 years ago had happened just yesterday. The scenery of Napahai Lake remained unchanged, and their reappearance instantly brought back countless memories for viewers online. Although director Takeuchi had traveled alongside them as the filmmaker, the person who remained in Cimu's heart was always brother Dongdong, who had taken her to Shanghai. Dongdong also shared that he had brought her to Shanghai because he was moved by her innocence. When he heard her ask, "Are there roads for airplanes in the sky?" he knew he had to take her to experience it and show her the world beyond. When she opened up her world, he discovered that she had unlimited potential. Dongdong has indeed changed significantly over these years. He has not worked as an actor or host for many years, but instead opened a dumpling restaurant in Chiba Prefecture, Japan, living a peaceful life with his parents. Time has worn away his youthful vigor and ambition, giving him a somewhat weathered appearance. When they talked, they barely made eye contact with each other, showing that they were still restraining some feelings in their hearts. Perhaps it was best to let this beauty remain deeply buried in their hearts. Finally, the two took commemorative photos again in the same location. Time may have changed their appearances, but this friendship had only grown deeper and more precious through the passage of years.
当然，我10多年前对我印象最深的也是你，可能现在的话对小亮哥有印象，但是我发自内心的话还是对你的印象更深，真的，就这个一时半会改不了。对。
10多年未见，次母还是和当年认识他的时候一样，勤劳能干。当年抱小羊的小女孩，如今做了妈妈，做了民宿老板，成为了家里的顶梁柱。这让我感到十分的欣慰。我依旧能够感受到她的质朴和纯真。下个10年又是什么样？说实话，我也很期待。另外，我觉得香格里拉真的是一个美好的地方。美好的地方，还有一个美好的民宿，还有美好的老板娘。希望这里的美好永远的持续下去。